Good morning and welcome to Naturesque. I'm Michele Happy. I am out in the Jack Pine Forest today and I found this clump of oak trees behind me, which is a beautiful spot to rest and relax underneath. So I've been sitting here doing a little bit of meditation and just enjoying the beautiful morning. And the last few weeks I have been contemplating kind of my natural existence, let's say. So as you know, I came from a large family. I'm the youngest of 8 children. That's a lot of kids. And there were 4 boys and 4 girls, in that order actually. So the 4 boys, my oldest brother was 18 years older than me, and I, being the youngest, was quite a spread between us. And my middle 2 brothers were very ill as babies. So both of them passed away when they were 1 year old and about 3 years old. And I was thinking that must have been really difficult for our parents. And at the time there was no health care. So it was really hard for them to not only endure the passing of their children, but to actually deal with a lot of medical bills. So now, as Canada is been set up so that our medical bills are paid, it's a little different. But anyway, so I had the 4 brothers, and then I have 3 older sisters, and I am the youngest. So very big family, living on a farm, which now that I look back, it was so amazing, being out in nature all the time and having the opportunity to get out and enjoy and play and just be kids, and also to help on the farm, which gave you some great work ethic. But recently, my brother, my last living brother, has been battling cancer for the last 4 years and just recently passed away. So we knew he wasn't doing well, and we all know that our time is limited, but it was still really hard when he passed. And it got me thinking about not only my existence, but where do we go when we die? And I've always felt that, and especially recently, that we are all spiritual beings. We're not this physical body. We're not flesh and bone. That's just for our time here on earth, so that we can experience things, so that we can be in a physical body and we can see things and we can smell and we can touch and we can experience our lives. But our spirit inside, which is who we truly are, is kind of trapped inside this body. And then when we die, I always think that our spirit is now free and we're able to, I'm not sure where we go, but if you have faith, you believe there's a heaven and a place that's beautiful and somewhere where we will be together again. So I was still struggling with this when he passed, and we were coming out to this park and packing things up, and I got to the park and realized I forgot my Kindle. I was like, oh, now what am I going to be reading? So we have almost like a community bookshelf where people leave books that they've read and just share with others. So I thought, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and go look for a book. So, and I was still, it took me some time. I was pretty sad about the whole thing and maybe a little sorry for the family and his wife and his children. Anyway, so I go to this community bookshelf, and standing there's actually 3 bookshelves to choose from. So I just went to the first one. And typically when you go to a bookshelf, you would just look at the top shelves first. For whatever reason, I crouched down and I'm at the bottom shelf, and I reach out, and the first book I pull out was called Embraced by the Light by an author called Eadie. So I started reading the cover and realized it was her near-death experiences, once as a child and again as an adult. And I thought, okay, this is a perfect book for me. I grabbed a couple of other books as well, but went back and started reading this book, and it was pivotal. It was like the exact thing that I needed to read at this point. And as far as I know, Betty's account of her near-death experience is one of the most detailed and profound. And from reading the book, I also believe that she only shared certain things. She didn't share everything, which makes sense because it's a very personal journey. But as I read the book, I'll give you a couple of highlights. So she was in the hospital having a medical procedure, which didn't go well. And in the night, they still didn't know she was having these major issues, but during the night she died. And when she passed, she said she felt this like pop out of her body, and she was floating and realizing that, oh, this is what it feels like to be free. And she was looking down at her physical body and wondering, whoa, I wonder who that is, and floated down to see who it was, and there she was, laying in her bed. She was like, oh wow, I guess, something has happened, and I'm now this spirit. Anyway, so 3 beings appeared at her bedside, and she described them as monks because they were dressed in brown robes, and maybe this was just so that she could understand that there were these other beings there to help her. And she called them her 3 monks, and they were bathed in this golden light, and they were there to kind of help her and guide her. And they basically said, this is not your time to die. However, we're going to take you on this journey. So she was like, oh, okay, this is very interesting. Her first thought was, wow, I wonder what my husband and my children are doing. So she looked for a place to leave the room, and she laughed afterwards because as this light being, you can go anywhere simply by thought. And she traveled to their home and saw her husband reading a book or a newspaper, and the kids were getting ready for bed, and they were having a pillow fight. And she thought, they'll be okay without me if I don't come back. So she journeyed, spoke with these monks, and then part of her journey too, she was about to travel into another dimension or another place, and she traveled through a tunnel, and she describes it as this darkness. It was so dark, and she thought she should have been afraid of it. However, she wasn't afraid. She said it was beautiful and peaceful, and there were other beings and energies that were in this darkness that hadn't traveled on. They just stayed there. And she remembers a phrase from the Bible is, when I travel through the valley of darkness or of death, I shall fear no evil. And she said this was like what it was. It was this vast darkness, but peaceful, and didn't feel threatened. Anyway, so she's traveling through the darkness and recognizing there are other people or beings that are still there. And she did see a light. So she traveled into the light and was greeted by who she called Jesus. So she said that it was amazing and felt so welcoming, and she never had felt such love before in her entire life, and couldn't imagine having to come back. And spent a lot of time talking about different things, and the knowledge was very easy to assimilate. Like, that was almost like instantaneous. She would ask a question and the knowledge would be there. And she traveled with some other people came, and she met others that she knew she had seen before and had loved before. And it seemed like it was more of a length of time, like many eternities is how she describes it. I can't imagine. We live this life right now and we think it's, a long time, but we have been made perhaps in many eternities. And she has a number of different experiences. If you want to read the book, it's amazing. And she learns a lot about her existence and why we're here, our purpose. And our purpose basically is to love one another and to be kind. And with that in mind, you will serve your purpose and finding your joy in life. And loving one another is like the biggest thing that we need to learn. And to have a life of goodness and happiness. Yes, we will have sorrows and we will have challenges, but always to focus more on our purpose and our gift of everyone has a gift that they need to share with others, and finding what that is and just living your life day to day and being kind and generous and helpful and helping others as much as you can. That is what she describes as our purpose in life, and each of us has a different reason for being here. And that really gave me peace, I think, knowing that my brother has gone to a place where hopefully he's traveled through the tunnel and to the light and is meeting friends, family, and other people and beings, and we're these spiritual beings living in a different place. And it's just very comforting knowing that I believe her. I believe her experience was very real. And anyway, so she came up to this panel of people once she had towards the end of the book, and they were saying, okay, like, you have come here, you shouldn't be here, you should be going back, but you have free will, and we're going to allow you to choose whether to stay or go. And she's like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. This is amazing. I don't want to leave. And what they discussed, she can no longer remember. They told her why she needed to go back, and she doesn't remember what that was. So she ended up agreeing, and she came back, and she wakes up in her physical body in pain, and she said she felt so heavy and just like, why do I have to come back and suffer through all of this again? Anyways, so she does go back, of course, and shares her experience with the world, and I know there's a lot that she hasn't shared, which makes sense because it's a very personal thing. But if you want to check out her book, again, her name is Eadie, and it's called Embraced by the Light. And perhaps there'll be something in there that will resonate with you. I'm hoping that I'm able to share just a little bit about that book so I don't spoil the whole book, and enjoy that if that resonates with you. And today is still, like, it's a bit cloudy today. It looks like it might actually rain. I've been here all week in the park, and it has rained pretty much every day. And yesterday was beautiful, no rain, and the day before. So I'm crossing my fingers, my last day of my holiday, that there will be no rain. And I have a few things I still want to accomplish today. I was planting clover. So I've got this big patch that I dug up and put some seed in there, and we've been letting the rain water it, plus I've been watering in between. So I'm hoping that will sprout and grow, and next year we'll have this gorgeous clover to step into. I know it will grow probably about 6 inches tall at a time, and just let it grow in its natural environment here. And so I am going to enjoy the rest of the day, and I hope you do as well. And so if you've liked this, video, please reach out, leave me a comment, and we will connect again very soon. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.